bugs, pests, vampires. Mosquitoes are the deadliest living threat to humanity. They kill more than 700,000 people each year. Now, most mosquitoes don't live very long, only a few short weeks at most actually, and even less if they get eaten first by birds, fish, spiders. So to breed, they've got to work fast. And for that, well, they'll need our blood. Fun fact, male mosquitoes are pretty harmless. But the females? Oof, they can end you.
The female mosquito is our arch nemesis. She's the one who goes out and does all the blood feeding. They feed in order to get the blood, and from the blood they get protein, and from that protein they actually make their eggs.
When she's ready to unload, the female mosquito lays her eggs in the water.
She takes the building blocks of the proteins from the blood meal and she makes them into egg proteins of her own eggs. And those egg proteins then help the developing embryo.
The eggs transform into a larvae state. You can call these little ones wrigglers. And get this, they breathe through their tails.
So they'll actually move up to the surface of the water, make connection with the air through that respiratory siphon, get the air that they need, and then they release and go back down into the water column.
The wrigglers then grow to become pupae.
And in the pupal stage, which looks like a little comma, it does no more feeding. It can swim around, it can breathe, but it does no more feeding.
Following the pupae phase, the mosquitoes bust out. Kind of like a butterfly breaking out of a cocoon, just without the fanfare. Once they're off flying free in the world, the males will drink nectar from plants until they mate. And shortly after that, they die. What a life. But the females? Different story. They go hunting for blood, so they can birth offspring as quickly as they can. The female mosquito relies on three main sensors: chemical, visual, and heat. Her chemical sensor allows her to hone in on animals with a healthy blood supply, tracking what they release while they're breathing.
And so she'll detect that plume of carbon dioxide and will fly upwind towards the source of that carbon dioxide.
Her second sensor, vision, gives her the ability to contrast color between foreground and background. The more her prey moves, the easier she can locate it. And then finally, her heat sensor. It lets her know who's alive, so she's cleared for her dive.
She wants to make sure it's a nice, living, breathing host to feed on.
When she lands, she gets her proboscis into position. It's that little built-in straw she's got there. And then...
The proboscis on a mosquito is what she uses to bite you with. So there are two major hollow tubes within the proboscis made by the stylets.
Now this is where it gets gnarly. One of those tubes is for sucking up blood, and the other one is for spitting saliva into the skin of her unsuspecting prey.
She actually spits into you an anticoagulant and an anesthetic so that you don't feel the pain and also your blood doesn't clot.
You see, without the saliva, her attempts to suck up the blood would be foiled by her prey's blood clotting. Her mouth would get plugged up fast. So that spit is the difference maker. It's also what's causing all that itchiness and swelling from her bite. You know the feeling. But this is how mosquitoes turn deadly. The thing is, most mosquitoes get in one blood meal in their lifetime. But if they're able to go for seconds, their hosts could be toast.
When they take their first blood meal, they can ingest all sorts of parasites or viruses or bacteria. So if a female is lucky enough to get a second blood meal and she picked up an infection from the first blood meal, that's where we're in danger. That in that second blood meal, she could be spitting out the virus, let's say, to the new host.
West Nile, malaria, Zika, who knows what's next?
So climate change is going to affect mosquito disease transmission everywhere, because as climate changes, mosquitoes are able to expand their ranges, normally from southern areas where there are more diseases up to northern areas where there are aren't so many diseases, and they'll bring those diseases with them.
For more than 30 million years, the tiny, seemingly insignificant mosquito has dominated life on Earth. They may be small, but their deadly appetite is nothing to take lightly.